Welcome back to 1010's podcast. My name is Michael Beck with Adam Nielsen. And Mr. Handsome Robbie himself is back from California.
He has returned. The prodigal son.
With no tan.
I know, you look exactly the same. What's the deal with that?
I was inside all the time.
They didn't have some lovely weather that you could have partaken in afterwards?
It rained.
It's been a thing lately.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not normally like California, but I suppose that's been the reports, is that a lot of rain down there.
It's also spring, so it's not super great, but...
What were you there for?
Okay. Well, I was there for
get to
gas turbine combustion training and then also fuel nozzle spray characteristics at the University of California, Irvine.
This sounds riveting.
It was interesting because it's directly related to my job and that's what I do. But for anyone else not associated with gas turbine combustion, it'd be boring as shit. We talked about emissions a lot, engines for airplanes and other stuff.
I think my dad works on gas turbines. They use them to turn pumps.
Yeah, probably.
So he might be interested in it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so we were just there for 6 days of training.
6 days of training, but it sounds like you got to do some other stuff while you were there, too.
Yep.
What all did you get to partake in? I know you posted a couple things to our Instagram.
Yeah, so basically I would do training till about 4 o'clock every day, and then they're like, well, here, you can either go drink in the hotel bar or do whatever. You're in Newport. I'm like, well, I'm going to go find a supercar shop, which is kind of funny because we rolled up and the first, literally a football throw away from our hotel was a Euro car, and they have sitting outside is a 09 Ferrari F430 I can never say Scuderia, an 07 Ferrari 599 GTV, and an Audi R8 Spider, just sitting outside, just for everyone to see, night and day, doesn't matter. So
They didn't take them in at night?
No.
They just left them out there?
I rolled up Sunday night after I got off the plane, and I'm driving past to get to a hotel. I'm like, what the
Is that shit still sitting out there?
No fucking way. So I stopped right then and there and go look at them. I'm like, yeah, they look like they've been rained on. They're just sitting outside.
Lights are off. Nobody's home.
No one's there. So, yeah.
So you were in a nicer part of town then?
Every part of that town thinks it's a nicer part of town. It's kind of like a thing there. There's Porsches everywhere. Like we have Cavaliers, they have Porsches. It's everywhere.
I've heard that about California though. The 911 numbers are astronomical.
Yes,
they're as plentiful as Camrys.
Yeah, I think really if you have a 911, people are like, cool story, bro.
Yes, that is exactly it. It was crazy. Like we're just looking down the street. Oh, there's a Porsche.
It's so weird.
There's another one.
I don't think I even see one a week.
Well, I'm with Lucas.
I don't even see a Boxster a week.
No.
Yeah.
Not in Des Moines. In Des Moines. I'm in Des Moines proper, too. Mm-hmm. Don't see them.
No, everybody had them. It was them and Teslas, of course, were everywhere.
Lots of Teslas.
So how did Lucas feel about that being a 911 owner?
I made fun. I was like, oh, look, there's another one of your buddies. Oh, there's another one of your buddies. No.
Look, another bug.
Yep.
There goes a beetle.
Nothing special about that one either. I thought it was really strange how many supercars and all this other really expensive shit was around when the average income there is average household income is like $150,000, according to online statistics.
What's a house cost? You think like $1 million for like a normal house?
A apartment smaller than my townhouse in Newport, $7.5 million.
Jesus, what? Why?
Because you're next to the ocean in Newport Beach.
So what?
I didn't understand it.
Average cost for a house in Newport looks like it's $2.5 million. Newport Beach.
Isn't that's a more affluent part of
it is
of LA though, isn't it?
It's south of LA.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking way too much about city shit. But anyways, so obviously I do training, and then Monday night Lucas and I were like, let's finish up this stupid happy hour and let's go look at some cars. So we walked over to Eurocar, and actually no, we did that at lunch. We went. We had an extra long lunch break, so we went and did that instead of eating long. And we walked in, and the first thing we do is get greeted by this receptionist. She's
concierge person?
Yeah, she's like, can I help you, gentlemen? And I almost couldn't keep it together when I looked at her because her shirt was so low cut. She was well endowed, don't get me wrong. But it was so low cut, you could see all of the center cleavage and half of her bottom cleavage on both sides. Like, her tits were out. And I was like, we're here for some training.
I'm looking at cars.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, we're here for some training. We just wanted to check out your stuff because we're literally a block away. She's like, okay, well, I need to check you in right up. And we start walking away to go look at the cars, and I turn to Lucas. I go, I know why she's here. But like nowhere on earth could you wear that shirt and be taken
And
seriously.
be employed, for that matter.
Well,
Unless it was Hooters.
Yeah, it looked like a porn star to me. It was
clubs.
like I was like, what do
she
you?
probably is.
I'm sure she has a night job, but at the same time, if some rich guy walks in there, she starts flirting with him, tits hanging out. I bet the wallet opens a lot
I
faster.
think they prefer struggling actress.
That's literally
She's probably
that
a
is
struggling
exactly
actress.
what Lucas said. She goes, they probably get away with that because she claims to be an actress. But it was crazy though. Like we walk in and there's a brand new McLaren.
650 or something,
Yeah.
or a 570.
I think it was 570.
It's really hard to tell. They kind of
They kind of
very. They're all very similar. And then I'm terrible at the names. Like the Gullwing Mercedes that was sitting next to it. I don't know if it's the SLS. What's the other one?
If it's a Gullwing, it's an SLS.
Is it?
Talking about a new one or an old one?
A couple years old.
Like
Yeah.
old, like
No, not like old. No,
because that's
new
the
one.
300 SL, but the new one's the SLS AMG.
Not the McLaren Mercedes, though.
There was a couple of those
Really?
elsewhere.
Because those are sweet.
Yeah, so we just go inside and it's
I actually don't like those.
I think it's awesome.
I think they're kind of hideous.
in person. They're amazing.
I've
They are
never
very.
seen one.
It's got a hell of a hood on it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's super long.
Super long.
Yep, very short, like passenger compartment and trunk. It's like 2/3 hood.
Which we have expressed before that more cars should be that way.
Yeah, and it's got side pipes.
Yes.
It's got
true.
basically the
Why
new
don't I
age
like it?
version of Zoomies, I think, doesn't it? Because don't they come out in front of the driver's door?
I don't think they come out in front of the door. I think they come out behind it.
Do they? Okay,
think-
that might be true.
Well, I know when they designed the wheels on those, they designed them in a way that they work like a fan to blow air onto the brakes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
I
thing.
always thought that was kind of a cool tidbit. Some knowledge,
You would like that as an engineer.
knowledge to dump on you guys. But
It does come out in front of the driver's door.
does it?
It's got Zoomies on it
Ha,
for all intents and purposes. Yeah.
that's funny.
It's kind of like my car then, but I don't like it. It's ugly.
I think it looks good.
But I'm
Beauty is
like
in the
all
eye of the
of
beholder.
the individual things, I'm all about it. But it as a completed, I'm just not into it.
What else did you see at the dealer, Robbie?
Well, there was just like 100 Bentleys. Like half the showroom was just Bentleys.
You talking about like Continentals?
Yes.
Just kind of the
Just-
not I wouldn't say cheap Bentley,
No,
but
but
the
yeah,
run of the mill Bentley.
The entry level.
It was
The
kind of
normal
Bentleys was kind of their thing. So I'm walking, going, these are dumb. Bored. But then there's a handful of Lamborghinis, Ferraris. But what I did like was the all black Aston Martin DBS that was sitting outside waiting for service. Just black on black Aston Martin DBS. I'd never seen a black one before. Fucking gorgeous. And then the sales guy's outside having a smoke. He's like, "Well, check this out." And he's like opening the door and showing us all the stuff inside. And I'm just sitting there going,
Calm. Don't touch anything.
"Don't
Heavy
touch it.
breathing.
Don't touch it." But there's nothing really too crazy to say about that place. Just
Have you had that experience though, where you've been to an exotic dealership?
no. That was the first.
It's a
one.
different. It's like you want to be like 6 feet away from everything. You're like I don't like just get me away from stuff.
Yeah,
Like, I don't want to touch things.
I
don't
treat
wanna-
it like a car show. You don't. I didn't touch anything, and
Yep.
unless the sales guy was like opening doors for me, I really didn't.
Yep.
I just treated it like a car show.
I'm surprised the sales guy would even give you the time of day.
They knew we weren't buyers, but they weren't dicks about it. At least not there. So they just kind of talked to us, shot the shit. Because it was dead quiet. There's no one else in there except us.
I suppose if you can sell a car a week, you're probably doing fine. So
They actually, the common theme was everyone's inventory was about 50% of what it normally is. Because apparently everybody had great tax returns this year, and they were just buying cars.
interesting.
And then another funny thing was that we look outside to the service area. There's like a bright orange Murcielago sitting next to it, shitbox Mustang. So I don't know who.
Mechanics.
in the service area.
Yeah, I don't know who paid to have that car
Serviced
there, but it was waiting in line. At least that's what it looked like.
That's a steep rate.
It's probably an employee's daily or something.
I would imagine.
Steep rate to pay for a Mustang, though.
Yep. So that was it for Eurocar. Then we went to like Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, and then there's a local shop called Phillips Auto,
Okay.
and they had a lot more, like just a little bit of everything, like Vipers, GTRs.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did have was a LaFerrari.
Did they?
A yellow
Oh, man.
LaFerrari.
So you've seen one now too.
Yep. So
I feel so left out.
Was it? I mean, what was the deal? Was it there for service or?
no, it was for sale.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like one of those call for prices.
Yeah,
cars.
so it was probably like $3 million.
Yep. So it was hooked up to its battery tender, and
Yep.
I'm looking at it, and I turn to Lucas and I go, "Can you fucking believe this? Look at this!" And I point to the rear wheels. They put counterweights on the fucking outside of the wheel,
Really?
like 12 of them. Like
on the outside?
they put weights on either side of a spoke, like 6 and 6,
and you could see them.
and you could see them on the outside next to the fucking tire. And I looked at the other side. It wasn't quite as bad, but same thing. Counterweights on the outside of the wheel, and they weren't the hammer-on style. They're like the glue-on style, so it was not quite as bad. But you have a $2 million car with counterweights on the outside of your wheels, and it has 200 miles on it. What the fuck is wrong with this car?
That is really weird.
Or the mechanic that did that.
That is really weird. Why would it be that out of balance?
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
So I was kind of dumbfounded. I was so dumbfounded I forgot to take a picture, and I walked outside, and we got it was after we were there till 6 o'clock, and then they basically kicked us out, and we're walking away. I was like, I didn't take a picture. I did not take a picture.
No.
Lucky for me though, they took a bunch of pictures on their website. So
Did you see it from the website?
so I
my God.
I have pictures from their website that shows the counterweights.
I find that even more bizarre because as I think about it more, if you watch that Inside Koenigsegg documentary series that's on YouTube, Christian von Koenigsegg specifically talks about when they're laying up their wheels, which are, I understand, are carbon fiber, but it's, the same concept applies. They apply more carbon fiber to one side of the wheel than the other because they know the other side's going to have a valve stem with a tire pressure sensor on it. So they try to pre-balance the wheel while they're laying it up.
And when
I saw that too. It
you're
just
spending
makes sense.
that type of money and that type of engineering and time, that wheel needs to
It needs to be basically
somewhat
perfect.
balanced.
It needs
yes.
to be basically perfect. And if you do have to counterbalance it, it needs to be like one weight, not 12. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I don't understand.
It was excessive for a standard car.
I was going to say,
For a
even
Camry.
normal cars don't really need that many
If
anymore.
I brought the 240 in and someone put those weights on it, I
You'd
would
say
bring
the
it. I
wheel
would
was
bring
screwed
it.
up?
I would bring it back in and say, "You fucking fix my wheel." I'm not leaving with those counterweights on it. There's no way.
That's a bizarre deal.
I
I
didn't
don't
know
know what to say about that.
I'm still kind of just dumbfounded. Like I went to mechanics
You
school.
seem very upset.
I am.
He is
He's
very
an engineer.
animated
He's an
about it.
engineer, and he's very upset about this.
Day one when we're doing tires in automotive school. That's what they teach you. Is like, you don't put counterweights on the outside of a nice rim ever. You balance it on the inside, and then if it's a shitty steel one, then you hammer it on. Who cares? But when you're talking like a $12,000 set of rims, you don't do that.
Are those carbon?
I honestly don't remember.
I don't think they
I think they're no. I don't think so.
which is kind of surprising. But
Maybe you should send them a
even still.
scathing email, Robbie. Engineer/certified auto tech.
Well, then of course they ignored us because we're just morons looking at cars. I'm sitting there, I'm just looking at it like this is bad
Yeah.
for a car with 200
Hey,
miles.
come over here.
Sales guy,
What's going on here?
explain this to me. Who did this? They're fired.
Was that place busy? Was there anybody in there?
No, it was real quiet. But we showed up at McLaren just as a group of about 15-year-olds showed up.
Oh, nice.
So they weren't my cars, but even I wanted them to just fucking get out.
Yeah,
I
just
was
leave.
very upset for the sales guys.
Yep.
But luckily they didn't stick around too long, and we actually bullshitted with the sales guy at McLaren for quite a while because he actually brought 2 cars, maybe more, to the concourse here in Des Moines a couple years ago. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got a really good customer out in Des Moines," and I assume we know who he's talking about, but
I think I know who he's talking about. Yes.
I don't know his name off the top of my head. But yeah, I know we know of him.
Did you name drop it all?
Not really.
Just hand out a business card or anything like? Come on, Robbie.
No, but I talked to him. I was like, "God, man, you guys got to come back out." We were at it last year. It was really cool. So we talked to him for a little bit, and then basically ended up following those damn kids to Ferrari. And then same thing, like we're walking through the shop being very respectful, and these kids are like, "Is that an Enzo?" No, you moron. That's not. That's a 458.
But what's scary is that one of those is probably their birthday shopping.
God, I don't even want to talk about that. But yeah. So we're actually looking at these cars, and these kids are just basically throwing footballs to each other, running through the shop,
Really?
or the dealership, whatever.
Yeah.
Again, then this guy from Ferrari comes up to us like, "Can I help you?"
Please save me from these children.
No, we're just looking. You might want to take the handle on those kids though. But they had an F12 TDF there though.
Did they really?
Yep, I mistakenly called it a super fast when I saw it through the glass plate window.
Yeah.
but it was the F12.
Yeah,
TDF.
like the final edition of the F12.
The Tour de France.
It's very interesting.
It's gorgeous. Is
it as big as it looks?
It's a big car. I think pictures deceive it. Like it makes it look bigger than it actually is. I mean, it's still a very big coupe, but like with the aero accents and just the way it looked, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of that design because it's too much like a Corvette or a Supra, in my opinion. But it was still a gorgeous car.
It's interesting. Somebody made a joke on our Instagram because there was a 599 sitting outside.
Yep.
And they went, "Oh, look, it's a Supra. It's a Mark IV Supra." And the funny thing is, a week before that, somebody made that exact same joke, and I was like, "That's not a fucking." Oh my god, it looks like a Supra from the side.
It does.
Yeah.
That design kind of looks like a Supra.
That little small window.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Behind the what would be the B pillar, it looks like that Supra window. Looks very similar.
Yep. So I'm not a big fan of that design in general, but that car, the F12, looked gorgeous. With that specific package, I mean. So nothing too special. Like, it's a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
And then we went to Evan Paul Motor Cars, and
Okay.
it's kind of like the same thing where they only take in like trade-ins basically. So they have all this just a really random stuff. Like it was a Viper next to a McLaren next to a Murcielago that had just been traded in on another McLaren or something. And we show up there and it's raining outside, and there's a 675 LT sitting outside in the rain.
That's its home.
Nope. Sorry.
Man,
The 675 LT was inside. The 650S was outside in the rain.
that makes me feel a little better.
Sorry, I wanted to get that right. So yeah, we show up. I'm like, well, if this is sitting outside,
Let's check out what's inside.
whatever's inside's got to be pretty good. And we walk in there, and no one even greets us at the door. Like we basically walked into an empty shop. We started walking around like, well, someone gonna kick us out here anytime soon? And then this guy, like I say, kid, he's my age, comes around the corner. He's like, "Hey guys, how can I help you?" I was like, "We're just looking at cars. We're in town for some training." "Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm so and so. I'm a sales guy." And showed us around. And like, you're like 21. How do you have this awesome job?
His dad probably owns it,
No.
or his dad's a customer or something like
I don't
that.
know.
He's probably got
cool-
got a connection.
Yeah, he was a super cool guy. So we talked about the cars he had there. He was showing us all the private collection ones that we can't go past a certain point, but we can look at them from
Yeah.
a distance.
Yeah.
So we had there was a bunch of like 800 horsepower like Camaros and Chevelles and stuff in the back. He's like, "Yeah, those are all race prepped, ready to go. They'll never be raced, but they're ready."
There they are.
They're
There's like a weird at Lake Forest Supercars. There's a Gen 4 Camaro that's a full tube chassis car, and it just sits in that back corner, and it's never moved. It's been there every time I've gone in there, and it just sits in that corner. I don't know why.
Nope.
It's a bizarre car. Anyway,
It's not even like a valuable thing. Like
I don't know if it's
in
got
comparison to the rest of the stuff that just sits there collecting dust, that car is not worth that much.
there's a
money.
Huayra and a CCXR
And an
that
F40.
sit next to it, and then and an F40 in the service bay, and then there's that weird tube chassis Camaro.
Huh.
I don't understand that. And then that P45 or whatever that's ridiculously
It's
rare.
like one of three or something.
Yeah,
silly.
so I don't understand. I don't understand that whole concept of like I'm going to buy a bunch of cars and then never use them.
No, there's trophies.
But it seems like it's not uncommon for those supercar dealerships just to have stuff that people have bought and never have left.
I was going to say, I wonder. You talk about how they're all empty. I wonder how many people buy cars they don't even ever see before purchasing them.
Probably quite a bit. It's just a
You're
trophy.
like-
Like it's not a car they drive; it's a trophy.
That guy said he's got a customer who lives here in Des Moines, and he's in California. Like, whoever that is, he's not seeing those cars before he buys them, most likely.
No, probably not.
He just calls a guy like, I kind of want one of these. You got one? Yeah. All right. I'll take it.
Yep.
Put it on a truck.
Yeah, it's a crazy concept because like
It's weirder when they don't leave though, because like that F40, I don't think that's in Chicago. I don't think that guy lives in Chicago.
no.
So that car just sits in Chicago. Like it was sitting there, and then he gave him some money, and it's still sitting there.
Even if I had no intention of using it, I would still want it in my possession.
I'd like to have it.
I want to look at it.
I mean,
at my leisure.
I understand. They were saying, well, it's on a tender, and we check on it every once in a while, and we
But
drive
someone
around
who
the
can
block.
afford an F40 can afford to pay somebody to come to his house and do that too.
Yeah, unless he doesn't have the space for it. That would be the only excuse I could come up with.
How ridiculous of a collection do you need that you don't have space for your F40? We talk about a lot of times our dads have lots of cars, and so they have to like rearrange and make space for things, and some cars end up in faraway storage places because that's just where they fit right now. What level of ridiculous shit do you have to have at your house that you're not willing to take one of those out to make room for a Ferrari F40?
Your collection of Ferrari F50s?
Yeah, no. Your collection
Not those, Robbie.
Your collection of Koenigsegg's, probably. I mean, there's a guy somewhere in the world that has a Zonda or a Huayra and a CCXR, and they're not at his house. They're sitting in a dealership in Chicago. But he owns them. So there's a reason he doesn't have them. And in having them for an investment, those aren't like a LaFerrari where there was only 499 of them or whatever, pick a number.
There's
maybe
10.
So I don't understand. I guess I just don't understand. Like what's keeping you? I don't think it's an investment in my opinion.
I was going to say, do you think they're still for sale?
No. They weren't for sale when I was there. It's like you couldn't even go in that area. They're just like it doesn't matter if you're a paying customer or not. You can't cross this line. It's a different life to live. Maybe that guy has 40 cars.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he doesn't, someday he's going to wake up and go, "Oh yeah, I've got a Koenigsegg, don't I? Maybe I should go to Chicago and drive
look at it." Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe
around the block once, park it back in there, never come back again.
Maybe that guy will fly in to Chicago, like, oh, I got business to do in Chicago, or oh, I'm going to go out there to see somebody or hang out or do whatever. He's like, oh yeah, I got a Koenigsegg I could drive while I'm there.
I'm sure they'll meet him at the airport.
Yeah, hey, can you guys bring me my Koenigsegg? I mean, maybe that's what he does. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird to me that they're not driving them as cars for just trophies. Because you'd see people driving them like in Newport and stuff too, and it was like a weird thing that at Evan Paul Motor Cars, he goes, yeah, we sell them real quick because they're under 10,000 miles, and like that's really advantageous. And like if someone gets to that point, they just trade them in for a lower mileage one, and it's like, oh, I get to talk about how my crazy car is, it's only got 10,000 miles. That's fucking crazy. I don't get it.
Weird.
It's a different life. What else did you see at Evan Paul?
Evan Paul was a pretty small shop. They just,
was it?
Yeah, they just had a handful of cars and a couple R8s that he was pretty pumped about, and
he gets it.
I wasn't.
He's probably thinking that this is the cheapest thing I got in here. I wonder if I can get these guys to bite on it.
He tried to sell Lucas a Porsche because he's like, well, actually, you could probably get this one if you wanted. It's like he can look at Lucas and go, you have one. How about this one?
That's what this guy does all day. He's like, yes, you have that one, but now we have the Huayra, or now we have the Huracan, or now we have, yeah, you could have this now. Have you considered upgrading?
So it was cool. He was a really nice guy. He actually asked us what we drove and talked about it. He's like, oh, I love LS swap cars. I'm like, you're a good salesman. You're a good salesman.
But I'll bet you that's like, because that's probably realistically what he can afford.
Yeah.
Like he might be selling supercars, but he's not driving them home.
I wouldn't say that he's not, though.
Well, I don't know.
He could probably afford a 911.
It was the same thing. He goes, sorry, our shop is so empty.
Everybody came in with their $200,000 tax return, and
he goes, we're usually double this. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
It's a weird concept. That's why that average tax return number is $3,000 instead of $2,000, is because you've got 1%ers that are getting back $100,000.
Yep.
They're bumping that number up.
Yeah. And then I went to one other shop, and out of respect, and just how they were really generous to us to let us even go in there, I think. Because they used to have a place on the Strip, and then now they have this windowless building. And the only reason we knew about it is because someone else told us about it.
Okay.
So we went there on early in the week, and the owners, we walk in, I'm like, hey, I'm Robert from 1010s Media. I'm here for my day job, and I just want to see if we could poke around and look at these cars. She goes, well, actually, so-and-so, this celebrity just dropped off this car, and they're really particular. So they're going to pick it up later today, so I can't let you in. I was like, holy shit. All right. So I was like, okay, well, you try back later this week. So I couldn't decide if she was just telling us to fucking get out of here, you nerds. So we went back Thursday, and she was real nice. She's like, oh, yeah, you guys can come in. But those 3 cars you didn't see. I was like, oh, those are the 3 coolest ones.
Those are the 3 cars I want to talk about.
So I can tell you guys, but I'm not going to say it on air. But the three cars that were just phenomenal, I can't talk about. But what I can talk about, I saw McLaren P1.
Oh yeah, you're
Damn it.
You're getting up there. 2 for 3.
So left out.
2 for 3, Robbie. You're so close.
Was there a 918 there?
Yeah.
Ace 3 for
No,
3.
no.
Oh damn it.
I'm sorry. Those are Carreras.
No, the 918 Spider, the third hybrid hypercar.
No, I didn't see that one.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so you're almost there, Robbie. We got to get you there. That's the least rare one.
Have you seen one?
I've seen all 3.
You have?
Yep.
I haven't seen any of them.
And I've seen a GT, a Carrera GT.
I spent too much time in tractor country, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I could care less about the Porsche, but so I saw the McLaren P1 is I saw it in pictures and it was always like, oh, that's my car. That's the be all end all of cars.
Yeah.
After seeing it in person, I fully invalidated on that. It is perfect.
Stunning, isn't it?
Gorgeous.
Robbie's like, get this master's degree done. I need a P1.
Yep. There was like all the carbon fiber accents were just right. All the active aero was just
What color was that?
very
One?
scoopy.
it was silver.
So nothing too exciting, even.
No, it was
But
just
still,
it's a P1. It wasn't like the blue carbon fiber edition. It was
the
just
orange one. Or
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
I've
silver
seen
P1.
The Lake Forest had an orange one and a red one, and then I saw a red one in London.
Wow. Oh, also one of the rules was I wasn't allowed to take pictures.
In that particular place?
Yep.
Oh, I get you.
But I know their website and they have enough pictures that I can use them.
That's fair.
So then they had a couple of Bugattis, a couple of Veyrons. One she was super not pumped about, and it was that blue with the Transformers decals on it. All the emblems have been transferred to Transformers
Wait a minute,
logos.
what? This is a Bugatti that has this on
Bugatti
it?
Veyron with like a
Transformer?
It's like a baby blue.
Yeah.
And it has like a vinyl of like or maybe it was a paint job with like that Transformer look. And then it had all the emblems have been transferred to Transformers.
And she was not having it.
No, she goes, I cannot believe we bought this fucking car. She's
How am I going to get rid of
She goes,
this
I'm
thing?
only going to be able to sell this to like someone in Asia.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah, somebody in like, she said Asia. She's like, Asian people like this design, but that's it. Because I said that, I was like, you're not going to sell that very fast, are you? And she goes, no. And to top it all off, it's fucking Euro spec. Can't drive it. So somebody,
Jesus.
So you'd have to export it if you bought it.
Yep.
Why is it even here?
She said somebody bought it through them, and then had it here, took it to track like one time, and then basically brought it back to them because you couldn't register.
And then they bought it back.
Yeah. So
That's
then,
weird.
So she said if somebody wants to buy it in the States, she has to ship it back to Bugatti. They can convert it to American spec, and then ship it back.
I'm sure that's cost effective.
It's not.
I just send it back to. I just call some dealers. I'd try to get that bullshit off of it, get it back to stock, and then call dealerships in, Germany and say, "Hey, I got this car.
Yep.
I'll ship it to you. Do you want it? Because I don't want it.
Yeah, like let's just unload this as
just
quickly as
just get
possible.
rid of it and try to make your money back.
Especially
out of
if it's not the only one they have.
Yeah, they had a black one and then that ugly blue one, and then then they had 2 Carrera GTs.
it. Hell yeah,
One had just like literally been dropped off like as we were walking.
those are pretty sweet, aren't they?
They're okay.
You don't like
I'm
them?
not super into them, but she was really not into the black one that just got dropped off
Man, she's a very honest
Why is that?
salesperson.
because it's going to be a hard sell because the guy that bought it thrashed it.
Oh.
Like he clearly had taken it off track. All like the inner fender was like overhanging onto the wheel.
Oh shit!
It was scratched all over. There was a really deep gouge on the flat part next to the windowsill, like on the driver's side.
Bizarre. Okay.
Because the doors are kind of tubbed, so it's got like a
Yeah.
flat spot.
Yeah.
It looks like someone had just dug a key into it, and then
Jeez.
to top it all off, someone looked like they had taken a dirty rag and then buffed it with it.
Oh, so it was all swirly.
It was really swirly and scratched everywhere.
Man,
That might be the greatest motor of all time.
It was funny because she wasn't pumped about it. She's like, "This is gonna be. I'm gonna have to spend a bunch of money to get this back
Oh,
to
yeah.
a good enough
Yeah.
condition to sell." She says people that want them, they want them to come with the special wheel package that came from Porsche. They want them to come with the special from the factory cover, and obviously this one doesn't have either
and be
of those.
perfect and low mileage.
Yep.
And
That's the Carrera GT I want. then.
That's why I said to her, I was like, "Well, this would be, if I had the cash, I'd be buying this one because that's how I want it.
You
Yeah.
probably get a deal on it.
I won't
though.
feel bad.
Remember
Exactly.
when we went and watched one lap? There was a guy out there with one,
Yes.
with a Carrera GT, got passed by a Miata.
Was it black?
Yes.
Wonder if
Maybe
it was that
maybe
one.
it was that one. That explains
It
it.
might have been. Yeah.
That explains why it was beat up.
Yep. And then there was also she had a Pagani, but it wasn't there. She said she shipped it to the other facility. It cost $8,000 to ship it to the other facility. So she said that's why it's still not here, because someone said, "Oh, I'm going to buy it." Shipped it at a cost of $8,000, and he's like, I'm not going to buy it."
Where is this other facility?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I assume not.
3 blocks down the street.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what is this shipping company? Who is this? How do I get
Maybe
connected?
we need to get into
I'm
shipping.
like, I'm pretty sure I could ship it for $1,000 and then have $5,000 worth of insurance that would cover it.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it was located, but
Interesting.
yeah, she was really cool though. She sat and talked to us probably longer than anybody else. Like, we were talking about the cars, like, how she imports them, and like, she legitimately gets the ones from Bugatti. And it's like, she has to go straight to the factory if she wants stuff changed to them.
So is that's an actual Bugatti dealer then, or authorized service center or something?
I think her job basically is to be a middleman for a celebrity goes and says, "Hey, I want this Huayra." She
Yeah.
goes, "Well, I got this. I know where this one is," and she just
She's kind of like a
Gets it.
broker then.
yeah. But I mean, she has a shop where she has these cars, but yeah,
Sure.
basically, I think that's kind of what she is. She's a broker to the celebrities.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool that she let us in, because the cars that she had. Oh, and there was an Enzo.
Oh,
No, sorry.
forgot about the Enzo.
Forgot about the Enzo. I mean, it was halfway under a cover,
Yeah.
and I wasn't about to go lift the cover,
Right. Exactly.
but I looked at it. It was obviously the P1 is tops.
Of all those, I've seen one, and it's the one I care least about.
Yeah.
I've seen a Veyron. That's it.
Though they're terrible. They're awful.
The interesting thing is, like, back in 2008 when that car was new, I saw one
That's when I saw mine, too.
in France, and I was like, I don't get it. Like,
You
I was
were in
like,
France at one point?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
I was like looking at it, I was like, I really don't get it. Like, and at the time, like, it didn't have the impact, and I didn't know all the details about it, and I was just like, I mean, people pay how much money for this? Like,
Too
it
many.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I think it was 2009. It was the year that my dad and I went down to Barrett-Jackson. And during the week of Barrett-Jackson, one of those nights, they have like this cruise in, like evening cars and coffee style thing
Yeah.
at a mall. And there was probably 1,000 cars there. And one of the cars that showed up was a Veyron. And my dad and I were looking at it. And I was like, Dad, this is $1 million car. And he goes, no, it's not.
Don't see it.
Don't
Sorry.
see it. And we're looking at it, and I was like, those are my vent rings.
Yeah, your Audi TT vent rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. A8 and TT parts.
I don't think they were dimpled like the ones in my TT. The rings that go around the HVAC vents. I don't think they're dimpled. I think they're smooth, but they are definitely the same part.
Jeez.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
I think that the smooth ones came in the A3 of the same gen.
So it's got a cheaper Audi's vent rings on it. That makes sense.
So
But
He had a-
Lamborghini is guilty of that too, but for some reason it seems less egregious.
he had a license plate like trim,
Yeah.
and it said something about like eats Enzo's for lunch, ZR1s for supper, or something like that on it.
No, it doesn't. Liar.
Win.
He was driving it. I mean, he drove it
guess, I
there.
suppose.
He got out on the street and kind of got on it a little. I mean, he was not afraid to.
It's good. No, it should be.
Yeah,
Got to use it.
I assume his last name was probably either Barrett or Jackson, but whatever.
The one guy's dead, so it could only be the
Well, it was a younger guy.
Oh,
I would
okay.
say mid-30s at the time, so I'm assuming a
Somebody's-
son
somebody's
of somebody.
son.
Yeah.
That's all I got, though. I mean, I just saw a bunch of really awesome cars.
interesting experience, considering you'd never done that before.
No.
Been to any supercar dealerships.
And they were all within like a 3-mile radius. It was just like, well, how about we go to this one today? And then we can go bother them tomorrow. And I mean, no one was really rude to us or looked
Yeah.
at us like, I mean, we were blatantly ignored at a handful of them, but
That's all right.
I'd rather them
Step
leave
up
me.
my supercar spotting game, apparently.
I'd rather them leave me alone than
Getting kicked out.
yeah. Well, we were at your old car. I kept telling Luke, I'm going to keep walking until they tell me to get the fuck out. It's like I walked into the service bay area and I'm just looking around. I walked into the back and looked at all the cars that were.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Like every time I've gone to that place in Chicago, they let us walk back into the service thing. Like you can't walk into a service center at a Chevy dealership.
At a Napa, yeah.
Right, I was like, why? And there's like painted lines on the floor. They're like, yeah, if you stay in the lines, we don't care.
As long as you're not a dick about it, sure.
Okay.
I was doing work at the Toyota dealership in Ames a month or so ago, bringing internet into it, and they wouldn't let me into certain parts of it without being escorted.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't. But Ferraris, yeah, it's
I was
cool.
there for them.
I'm sure the amount of security, and I had to like log in or like sign up for a bunch of shit just to walk into the
probably
building.
just in case something disappeared, they could.
Yeah. Yes. They start pointing fingers.
Yeah, they could get a hold of you, give your information to the police.
Plus, it probably helped that I showed up about 5:30 every day when they close at 6. So everyone just like
whatever, just let them do it.
Look,
just walk through and get out.
Yep. He's clearly not buying. It's 5:30.
Good times though.
Yep.
Sounds like you had fun.
It was nice. It was a good. I wouldn't call it a vacation, but it was a cool trip.
It's
Interesting.
the way to do a work trip for sure.
Yep.
I was in Grand Island, Nebraska at the same time, so
Not a lot of supercar spotting there.
Yeah, did you stop by any exotic dealerships while you were there?
No, there was a bitchin' bagged C10 at a dealership there, though.
Have you seen that dealership on Northeast? Is it on 2nd Street? Yeah, it's on 2nd Street. That has like C10s and muscle cars and all this stuff north of the interstate. Yeah, you guys should check that out sometime. This is not information for anybody that listens to this podcast because not that many people in Des Moines do, but just north of town on 2nd, like north of the Harley dealership, that guy specializes in like muscle cars and he's always got C10s and everything's restored and looks good and stuff sitting outside too. Like stuff you'd think shouldn't be sitting outside. Kind of weird.
Nice.
The one I was looking at had like a very mini truck theme paint job. Like it was orange on the top and bottom, and then had a cream white stripe with a green flame in it. It was very mini truck.
It's like 90s mini truck.
Yeah, exactly.
When mini trucking was hot.
Yeah. I totally would have drove it for
Good.
sure.
You should.
Sweet.
You could do that to your S10.
We ate at Runza.
Ugh.
No, God, not this again. Not the fucking Runza thing.
If you're from Nebraska and you come to me and you tell me if you're in Nebraska you have to eat at Runza, I'm gonna tell you you're fucking wrong.
Adam's already told us to do it, and he ruined my lunch.
I've eaten Runza twice.
I
in
didn't
my
understand. He's like, dude, we got to do this.
It's
we got to go to
It's a
Runza.
thing.
We got to go to Runza, man.
When you're in Nebraska, you eat at Runza.
Typically, when somebody's like, you got to do, like, dude, you got to do it. You're like, okay, I'm going to do
I'll
it.
try
Usually,
it.
there's some merit to it. You're like, all right, it's interesting. Different cuisine. Try something.
I couldn't do
No,
it.
sir. It's just mediocre at best.
I don't like it. I'm sorry. So all you Runza fanatics, I'm sorry.
I don't.
One of you. I'm sure.
There's a bunch of them.
We don't understand it.
I'm
even
sorry.
slightly. And Adam, you're wrong. It's not good.
Nope.
I don't know. It's just like, as long as I've been growing up, anytime we crisscross Nebraska as a family, my dad had to stop it. I think it's because that Runza thing that they make with the cabbage in it. I think it's very Germanic.
Yeah,
And so I think that's why my dad likes it so much.
I could give you that one.
So.
But I think it's just one of those things where like everybody's just perpetuated this lie that Runza is good, and therefore nobody wants to stop and say like maybe we shouldn't eat at Runza anymore. But we will be those people.
I'll be that people.
This car podcast will shut down that restaurant.
So while I was sitting at an airport for 6 hours, you were racing.
I was racing.
Tell me about it.
So there was our first autocross of the year at Adventureland, and that's kind of like it's kind of more. For me, I almost look at it more as like a test and tune because it's March and it was like 45 degrees outside.
Is it like a month before the next?
It's
any
another
other races?
month before there's another race for any of the regions around here. So it's cold. It was 45 degrees. It was freezing ass cold. It doesn't sound that bad, but when you're standing out there like in the wind and there's not much protection and you have to stand out there and watch for cars, you're done with that.
It was kind of wet too.
It was moist for sure. It was very kind of like oddly humid. It was not pleasant. I'll put it that way. But so yeah, the asphalt there is also really shitty. So I don't like running out there. I especially don't like running out there with good tires because it just tears shit up. If you have soft tires, it tears them up. And it was cold, as I said, so none of the tires that I have could get any temperature in them. So it was like driving on ice the entire time. But the cool thing was the event was really well organized. I think DMVR deserves credit for running a really good event. It's usually a clusterfuck event because it's the first one of the year, and you got new people, and people aren't sure what to do, and it's usually just kind of like a mess. And if everybody gets through it and gets 5 runs, it's a good day. But
I think the other thing at a DMVR event, normally an average turnout's like 40, maybe 50 cars. And this year we had 120 people pre-registered, and I don't even know how many actually ran. But
I didn't look at the list. I think it was probably about 100.
So that, when the group that runs it is used to dealing with a third as many cars, it makes it very difficult to manage. So.
And it's the event with the most inexperienced drivers.
Yeah.
Like people who have never done an autocross before, typically.
Yep.
Because it's one of the few events that's actually in Des Moines. I mean, it's in the suburbs of Des Moines, other than Iowa Event Center. So it attracts people that, wouldn't be open to driving to something that they don't know what it is.
What I think is kind of funny is I'd rather drive to Oskaloosa when it's 75 than race at Adventureland when it's 40.
I think everybody's super bored, though. They're like, I haven't done race car things in 6 months, and I'm dying. Like, I'll stand out in the cold.
People came from Minnesota. People came from Nebraska. Like, people travel to come to that event every year.
Traveled several hours to get there to race.
Like hotel rooms, the whole 9 yards.
So, all things considered, I thought the event went really, really well for the organization. And I think a lot of people had a really good time. I felt like the mentoring program, which we've tried to do in the past, was fruitful, I hope. I had a kid that I mentored that had never done it before. He had a G8, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
That's an awesome car.
That's fun.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of fun. He said he had a Mazda Speed 3 that he's planning on turning into like an autocross track day car. But he just wasn't ready to race it. This was his daily, so that one, I thought that went really well. The Fiat ran well. We did a little bit of tweaking on it, and then the first set of runs that they did, they got through 4 runs. So they split it into 2 groups. It's like the street cars, cars in street classes versus like prepared and modified and like race categories. That's how they split it now. They don't split it by number, which I think they started doing last year.
Yeah, a couple of people complained, and I think this is the right way to run it. You run in class groups instead of by number. That way, everybody who's in the class runs when the track is similar conditioned.
Yeah.
Which I think makes sense if you're worried about point standings and stuff.
Yeah, it makes for more consistent times for that class. And typically what happens is your more inexperienced people are going to be in those street classes, but they were able to get through like 60 cars, 4 runs in an hour and 20 minutes.
That's efficient.
Wow.
And it was a pretty big course. It wasn't a long time. It was only like 40 seconds was down there as the slowest.
That's
But it was long though, and people could have gotten lost, you know what I mean? But so I thought very efficiently run event, and we got through it really quick, and I got through my 4 runs, and I was through my 4 runs, and they were starting into the first group again, and it was 1:00, and I was like, I'm done being cold. Car runs good. Let's just pack it in and call it a day. So, but I thought it was, it was fun. I had a good time. Got to hang out with some people and do some race car stuff. And, if I can leave in the middle of the day, I'm like, I had fun, and, now I'm going to go do some other stuff. Or
nothing's broken.
Nothing's broken. I'm like, that's still a success. I didn't leave
Sometimes
because...
that's half the battle, so...
Yeah.
I didn't leave because I was like, oh, I'm pissed, or this is stupid, or it was just like, I did.
Right.
Car's good, and
ready to go home now.
I'm tired of being cold, and I had my fun, and it's all good. So
then you took the Fiat.
Yeah, I took the Fiat. I can't remember if we ever talked about it on the podcast, but the RX-7 runs now.
I don't think we did.
Because we had a guest.
We have.
Yeah, so the RX-7 started. There was an issue that we were fighting for a couple weeks and didn't realize it, where the injectors. So on those LT motors, the ECU looks for a specific key in the ignition. It's looking for a resistor in that key. It's not a very complicated piece of technology, but it is a theft deterrent that they put in those cars in the 90s, where the keys had like 20 or 30 different resistors in them. So you had to have a key that was keyed correctly.
Yeah, it's like I think Pontiacs all had those.
Yeah,
they?
Pontiacs and Buicks and GMs.
I remember seeing those.
So if you ever see those square keys, they're
got that black chip, like,
and there's a black chip.
Up.
All it is a resistor.
Yep.
And the stupid part about that is, if you're not a moron, you can measure the resistance of it. So I don't know exactly what it was supposed to accomplish, other than pissing off anybody that's ever tried to swap one or lost their original key.
Well, if you didn't have the original, if you were stealing the vehicle, you couldn't measure the resistance on the key.
That's true. I guess you couldn't hotwire it.
It's still
and get it to run.
It's still a decent theft deterrent.
Yeah. So if you would have to have the
For the
original
time.
key to steal the car, realistically, you could. There's been a lot of
Or
talk
access to the VIN number decoding.
there was a lot of talk of like you could get a variable potentiometer to change the resistance until just like crank it and twist the potentiometer until you got the right resistance, and then technically the car would start. Kind of
that
a weird.
sounds worth it.
Yeah, it sounds like a real pain in the ass. But anyway, so what it's supposed to do is that it's supposed to have a hot signal all the time, and then the ECU pulsates the ground to the injectors to tell them to fire. Well, what happens is when it doesn't see that resistor, it's called VATS, VATS, I can't remember what it stands for, but it will not send that ground pulse to the injectors. Well, the problem was the VATS was disabled on the ECU, but it did not have a hot lead to the injectors. There was no hot signal. So it was getting a ground, but it had no hot.
Oh, shoot.
And so it still wasn't firing the injectors. So it looked like a security issue, but it wasn't. It was a wiring issue caused by a previous owner. And we won't dig into the amount of swearing that happened, because this was like a 2 or 3 week problem. Because actually that ECU that I had, I figured out, because it was a cop car ECU,
Yep.
I figured out it should have started off of that ECU with no tuning, because the cops did not want that security on their cars.
No, it shouldn't have been an issue.
So it was disabled. So it should have worked, but I didn't know that until I started digging into it. But so anyway, got that hot lead to the injectors. It fired. Everything's all good. So I've just got a list of like, put the diff fluid in, and got the clutch. So it takes like a master cylinder or a slave cylinder off of a Camaro to throw that clutch off.
Yep.
But the way you have to hook it up to tie it into the RX-7 master cylinder, you have to take the slave cylinder off of what would be the original Camaro master cylinder. And when you do that, you introduce air to it. And they tell you can't bleed those, but technically you can, because we were able to get it bled. So I was able to engage and disengage the clutch. So that was good.
Nice.
Did that last weekend. So it's like really close, but it's going to need, alignment and tires technically, and there's going to be some other stuff that comes up, and I'm trying not to like drive it without any type of exhaust so I don't burn the O2 sensors, and trying to make sure that all the wiring's tucked away so that it doesn't get burned on the headers, and trying not to cause other problems by being an idiot and driving it before I should. So it's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. Glad to hear
A
that.
few more parts, a few things, shifter knob, small stuff you kind of need to.
Yeah, the burnout in front of the other person's house hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened.
Technically, you could win.
It's probably.
I will be driving past your house tomorrow.
I feel like
Fans have really latched onto that. It
I
makes
know,
me so
but I feel like if
happy.
I went over to Robbie's house and did a burnout, there would be cops knocking on my door.
You said that if I did it to yours.
Well, it's because I would call the cops on you, but I'm just saying, like, if you did it in this
It's not
neighborhood,
a team player at all, is it?
if you did it in this neighborhood, you might be able to get away from it, because I don't know if anybody could see you if you did it fast enough. Over there, though, all those condos are like facing the road.
It would echo.
Yeah, and everybody would be like, "Who's this idiot?"
You're on a dead end street. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, you get called in real quick over there.
We'll see how. I'm gonna drop the car off tomorrow to get the Y pipe installed. So I'll drive past your house tomorrow, and then when
see
I
if the lights are on.
when I pick it up on, I don't know, whenever, probably Thursday when they get it done, and I'll drive past you again. Maybe I'll stop and. Maybe I won't do a burnout, but we'll take a picture in front of your house.
Maybe we could
It'll
hang
count.
out. Yeah, you could show me your car, because I haven't even seen it.
Yeah, we could be friends outside of the podcast. That'd be fun.
We
Yeah,
don't do that.
You could give that a try.
Like, we even like avoid talking to each other about certain topics.
No, we can't talk about cars until we're on there.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't wanna
It's
waste it.
terrible.
No, that's good content that we're just gonna
You're
ruin.
just throwing away content. That's
Yeah.
It
ridiculous.
really alters your friendship, doesn't it? Again, podcasts ruin your life.
It did.
It ruins your racing, and it ruins your friendships.
Yeah.
It's not like a sale for a podcast, is it? Like, you should start a podcast with your friends, because it's not.
We
gonna
don't
work.
want people to start podcasts.
Yeah,
We want them to listen to ours,
listen
but
to
we don't
ours.
need more competition.
I am confident enough in our skills as podcasters to not be worried about other people starting podcasts.
That's why I'm always slinging other people's shows, is because I'm not too worried about it. I like their show. I enjoy listening to it. So whatever.
Adam enjoys promoting other people's podcasts on our podcast pages. Have you noticed that?
I do.
He does. He
There's
does
nothing
do
wrong
that.
with it. A lot of times they reciprocate, so who cares?
Yeah, it's a win-win.
I'm just saying. It's an interesting
They're
thing.
my
I noticed.
podcast friends.
Is anything else going on in each other's lives?
I still have my wheels and tires that I haven't bothered getting mounted because it's just been so dreary and crappy, and I just don't care.
Yeah.
Now you got a month.
You know, it's been cold and rainy and shitty out, and I just...
Actually, you don't have a month. You have 9 days.
How do you figure?
We have that car show at Jack Trice Stadium on April 9.
And that's next week?
Yeah, and I don't want to drag the Fiat all the way up there.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man.
Because it doesn't ride very well.
That's why I'm getting my Y-pipe done tomorrow, Thursday, whatever.
So when they do that, you're done, right? Because I mean, as far as your exhaust goes, because you're just tying into your catback.
Yep, that's done.
Okay.
And then what else? I need a tune, so obviously I'm not just going to beat on it.
Yeah.
But it's drivable.
It's drivable. My alignment's obviously not quite where it was, so I'm going to get it realigned.
Do you have to undo some stuff in the process?
Not necessarily, but
it would be different. You would think, right?
Well,
a little bit.
Things just look a little different. Like they don't. My toe doesn't look like it matches on both sides, and maybe it's all optical illusion. And they'll tell me, no, this is exactly what you want,
dude. When I got the Fiat, I'm used to looking at a normal car. You look at normal cars for 6 months, and then I went and got the Fiat out with the race car alignment on it. I was like, something's fucked up. There's no something does not look right.
Yeah, my Omni, I did the same thing when I was test fitting those slicks. I was like, damn, that thing's got a lot of
wheels all stuck out, and the wheels are flopped in. I'm like, this thing looks really weird. I'm like, we didn't do anything to this car, right? And he's like, no, we didn't change anything. I'm like,
all right.
And it was at near the end of the year. I'm like, it's got it. I mean, short of buying the alignment tools and checking it, I'm like, I don't think it's moved. It just sat.
Yeah, well, I got it aligned, a year ago, but never actually got to drive it farther than Sioux Falls to Des Moines.
Right.
And then I don't know when I'm looking at the garage, it looks like one wheel's going out to away from the car.
Yep.
The other one looks like it's kind of turned in. They don't look like they match, and one of the wheels in the rear looks like it's misaligned central to where it should be.
Yeah.
Like it's sitting too far to the back. And I think you should be able to adjust that so the wheel moves forward like an inch. Just the whole wheel. Like it's just off center. And I think that's got to be adjusted.
What did they tell you last year though when you did that? I mean, I know the car was slightly out of square, but
yeah, they've told me my car is slightly out of square, but I don't think that they weren't talking about the rear wheel.
No. I just mean like where did you end up on an alignment? You got a decent alignment though, right? It wasn't like it was so screwed up that it was going to be a problem.
No, I got I think it was almost exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, okay.
I think it was just like if you look at the camber plates on the top.
Oh, that's right.
Like one says it's got
6 degrees, and the other one says 2.
Yeah,
okay.
but they're actually the same.
But it was still it was good.
Yeah,
workable, but it was just
yeah.
It didn't look square.
Thank God for the adjustment level that Robbie has achieved.
Well, when your car's not perfectly straight, you got to be able to adjust for that.
Yeah,
because salvage car, what do you do?
It's very because
you're
race car.
Telling me mine looks like it's rusting apart all of a sudden. I don't know what happened. It sat inside and it's rusty.
Jeez, it's not even a Chevy.
I know. Yeah, that's something I probably gotta look at that. It's just it's like quarter panel rust that the guy when he tried to fix it didn't fix properly and probably got moisture in before he started bondoing and doing his seams and stuff. And it's just it's been 8 years, 9 years, 10 years since he painted it, and I just see a bubble, and I'm like, that doesn't look very good.
Nah.
But I'll just cut into it and figure it out with my newly acquired made-up welding skills, so it'll be fun.
I like it. We're going to have
Are you going to come down and weld with me?
Yeah. I need to learn. Okay. Or I guess I don't need to learn. I need to be proficient.
You should just do it. We need to find some scrap metal.
Yeah.
You just got to do it.
All right.
I have a welder. I just sits my...
You've had a welder?
Yeah, I have one.
This whole time?
Sits in my garage. Never once used it.
You know how convenient that would have been this winter when I was making brackets?
It doesn't have a ground lead or a bottle. Those are the two things it needs.
Of course,
the
two quintessential things that you need to weld are gas and current.
But, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, it's 3/4 of the way there.
I could have got that thing running or working as a thank you for letting me borrow it, but
why didn't you say you needed it? Dude, we have 2 MIG welders.
I'll bring it next week.
Well, it's too late now. I'm done now.
I'm sure there's more things you can weld.
No, when brackets are made and done.
Well, then you can weld the brackets.
No, I don't want to do that now.
Should have said something. You got 2 MIG welders.
Yeah, well, next time.
It is what it is.
Yep. This is Robbie trying to do everything on his own. He doesn't even ask for tools.
Robbie never shares anything.
That's not true. I borrowed a fender roller and then realized that
it wasn't going to work as well.
You can't roll a fender if it's been painted multiple times. All the paint just falls off anyways. Then I just hit it with a hammer.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, the guy that previously owned my car rolled those fenders too, and he screwed up the paint on them. So
Yeah.
I gotta I gotta sand them and.
Oh, wow.
That's why I don't want to roll mine.
Yep. If you're fun fact or not fact, but like
Not a fun fact, but a fact.
yeah, just a fact in general. If you're going to roll your fenders, do it before you paint your car. Just tip there.
Everybody seems to think if you just heat the paint, it'll be fine.
It does not work.
I think you got to get it to a certain temp, and that's really hard to figure that out when you're just in there with your girlfriend's hair dryer.
It's not hot enough. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, you only had the hairdryer?
It didn't matter anyways.
I didn't know if you did or not. I'm just
my car's been repainted at least 3 times.
Yeah.
So it's got many layers of paint.
My car's got 2 coats of paint on it. I know that.
It won't. You'll chip.
Yeah, it's already chipped. Well, they're already rolled though too.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think it's good. I'll have to check the front. Maybe I'll stretch the fronts a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's already rolled in the back because
Okay.
he was running those. I don't know what class he was in, but he had drag tires on the back. Just making room.
Yep. You guys want to move on?
Project Car update. Before we move on, don't forget to follow us on all the social medias: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. That's been going pretty well. Hopefully we'll have some new content for that coming up pretty soon.
we keep like every single week before we start recording, we talk about we should do this on the YouTube channel. So one of these days we're actually gonna do it.
I will say this. I would, even if you don't think you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, I would suggest that you subscribe to it because there may be some different content on there coming up soon. Are you catching my drift? Maybe you should subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Please.
It'd make Robbie very happy.
It makes Robbie's day, I'm pretty sure.
So anyway, subscribe to YouTube and see what happens in the near future.
Yes.
Rate and reviews on iTunes, of course. I think there's a thumbs up thing that you can do on Google, so do that. I have no idea what it does, but just do it.
Reviews on Facebook.
Reviews on Facebook.
Got a couple more of those this week. Pretty excited.
Thumbs up on YouTube's always fun.
Thumbs up on YouTube as well.
Yep.
We are always appreciative of the reviews, and people say funny things on them on occasion, so that's good.
Someone told us that we give them ear boners.
I don't know if that's
good
the
or bad.
medical term is called erection, but yeah. I'm not a doctor.
Eargasm?
Eargasm.
And we have a shout out this week, Mr. Zachary Carroll.
Yeah. So I want to shout him out because apparently he's a really good artist. He's really good at drawing, and he posts these pictures of his really cool drawings on his Instagram, which is Eyes Up Auto Art. And you should go follow him because it's really cool.
Yeah,
this is completely like he has no idea we're saying this.
Well, the weird thing is, like, did you talk to him this past week?
I was flipping through this has been a while ago because I've been meaning to say something on our show here for a couple of weeks, but I was flipping through my Instagram one day and a picture popped up and I was like, do you sell these? Because these are rad. He's like, yep, I do. And I'm like, man, that's cool.
Well, the weird thing is I was just talking to him 2 days ago.
Were you really?
Yeah, because he's actually like a legitimate welder.
Oh,
like, he's
really?
got legit welding skills, and he was just like, "Oh," we just went back and forth, and I was like, "I didn't know you could paint and weld stuff, like all the cool things that I don't know how to do."
He's got all sorts of talents.
Yeah, he's
we have a talented
creative
listenership.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
He's one of those creative folks. We just talk and bullshit.
So go follow him.
Yeah.
Eyes Up Auto Art.
Pretty
on
cool stuff there.
Instagram and probably somewhere else.
I think
too.
he's also on Twitter, so you can check him out there.
Yep.
But I think that's it for social media updates. I think now we will move on to the news presented by Titan Tanks.
We'll start this off with our roads fucking suck.
I think that's a
Not pulling
blanket
any,
statement.
not pulling any
just
punches,
Iowa.
Robbie.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess is that not news?
I had to drive down Ingersoll, and again, this is very specific to people that live in Des Moines, which again is nobody listens to this podcast. That is the worst road I've ever seen in my entire holes.
Yeah, they're not
Holes.
It's
It's
they're
just
craters.
a hole in the road, and it's right where you want to put your left tire, and you're like,
Certain death.
Yeah. You know, it probably would have been worse in the Veloster because it had less sidewall, but it's like I don't want to drive through that with anything short of mud tires.
Probably less ground clearance too.
Yeah, it looks like, somebody could break a wheel on one of those holes daily, very easily.
Well, the fact that we've cut back on infrastructure spending has been blatantly obvious in the last few years. And maybe it's just because I'm being a car guy, I'm starting to notice it more and more, and we talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
But it just seems it's a problem.
But the weird thing is we had a local option tax in Iowa to raise our fuel taxes.
10 cents a gallon.
But it didn't seem to do anything.
Didn't seem to do it.
Well, they've replaced some bridges.
and
which is
they
good.
built some more rest areas.
They better not have gone towards the rest areas, I swear to God.
Well, where do you think that money came from?
I was hoping bridges. Hoping that money went towards the
bridges. Make sense.
They spent some money on some bridges this past
Bridges
year.
are fairly important.
Bridges
Just
have
ask
been an issue.
Minneapolis how important bridges
That's
are.
exactly what I was going to talk about because that's not an isolated incident. That's a countrywide epidemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some interesting things I read on there were traffic fatalities increased by 7% from 2014 to 2015.
I don't know if that's to be blamed on poor road conditions.
They seem to, a lot of this article specifically, which had some statistics and information from the American Society of Civil Engineers, had a lot to do with, they talked about road infrastructure not being adequate for the amount of traffic. And I think that's where they're coming up with the fatalities thing is congestion.
Yeah.
So that's, they're kind of tying together bad infrastructure also means literally like bad roads, but then roads that are not equipped to handle the amount of traffic.
Even if the road is physically in good shape, it's still a bad road because it can't handle the volume.
It's not doing the job it's supposed to do.
Well, then I'm curious how many roads that are really bad that they're like, oh, we can't shut down a lane on that because 1 million people drive over that in a week. And maybe that's not a thought.
Issues.
Maybe that's not a thought process, but it just seems like it is.
I think it certainly is.
Like
it almost has to be.
These roads that need to be worked on, but they're so busy that it's a nightmare to shut them down.
Did you see the statistics about traffic delays and what that costs?
Yeah, I can't remember.
So they estimate that Americans spend 6.9 billion hours delayed in traffic. So I'm assuming that means anytime you're going less than the speed limit. Due to traffic.
Doesn't that average out to 42 hours? Yeah, right here. 42 hours per year per driver.
On average.
Yep, just sitting in traffic, not moving.
And that equates to...
I'm a little surprised that it's that low, frankly.
You get guys like us that 15 minutes is a long wait here in Iowa. But
maybe we get 10 hours of delay.
You get guys in...
James has
on the
60 hours of delay.
Yeah, on the 405 in L.A., you get 4 hours a day.
Yep. It equates to 3.1 billion gallons of fuel wasted.
I think that's something I had never even thought about. Is wasted fuel.
Well, that's why. Well, besides being annoying, when traffic signals aren't synced, I think about how wasteful that is.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Stop and go,
you hit every single red light. You're on a major road. It's got red lights, 35 mile an hour speed limits, 5 lanes with a turn lane. You still hit every single light.
Or like that street that you used to live on in Ames.
Oh, God,
if you were headed downtown to like go to that Fairway, that grocery store that was just 6 blocks down the street.
Yep.
Stop sign at every block.
Yep.
Start go, start go, start go, start go, all the way there and back.
Yep.
Crazy.
I mean, I assume that's kind of an infrastructure issue as well.
Yep.
But very, very, very wasteful. And the interesting thing is we pay in Iowa 30.7 cents per gallon for taxes that go towards road use. So that went up from 20 to 30. And then we pay a federal tax of 18.4. So we pay a total of about 50 cents a gallon in taxes in Iowa.
And I think on a whole, the United States gets off pretty easy there, don't we? Like compared to, say, Europe. I know their gas prices are way higher than ours. I guess I don't know how much of that is
tax,
government taxes.
You'd have to wonder because the price is like double or triple.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder if I bet a lot more of it is tax. Why would why would the gasoline cost so much more in the UK? It's got to be part of it. I'm sure is you got to import it, but another part of it is taxes.
Yeah,
definitely. The interesting thing about that revenue was it said in there only 60% of federal revenue goes towards road and bridge programs.
Of the gas tax?
Yeah.
Where's the other 40 go? Rest stops?
Rest stops in Iowa specifically. No, it says it goes to, quote, earmarked programs.
So bullshit.
It goes to bullshit.
Filling pockets of politicians.
Yep.
Or building silly hipster art museums.
Yeah, something like that.
Not even that. But I thought it was crazy that that same study that came out said that the U.S. has underfunded the highway systems and it's $836 billion backlogged. Like if we wanted to fix
repairs.
If we wanted to fix our infrastructure today, it would cost $836 billion. Probably not even taking into account the time it would take to.
Yeah, as I said, it didn't say 1 year, 2 years.
Rounded up to $1 trillion, really.
Yep. Oh yeah, because every government project that's ever been done has come in on time and on budget.
Exactly. Well, like going back to Minneapolis, that bridge should have been condemned or redone many years before it collapsed. And it took until it collapsed, and I don't know how many people it killed.
I can't say for sure.
Before it was a major issue, it should have been fixed. But then they wait until it's a problem, and then they like ramp up funding for like a year, and then everyone forgets about it. And then we can save money by not fixing our roads.
That seems like a good idea.
One last statistic I have here: $35.2 billion was raised from federal taxes in 2014.
So, I wonder how much that would be if our government hadn't simultaneously pushed all of our car manufacturers to be more efficient with the fuel they use.
Oh, you mean
because right now we have more cars than we've ever had on the road.
Yep.
And they simultaneously use less gas than they've ever used, which means that there's more usage, but less money coming in to fix the usage. It's
right. And the real issue on top of that, which is going to be a bigger problem soon, is electric cars do not pay road use tax.
To me, if you have an electric car, you have to register it. You should pay extra in a utility bill somewhere.
I don't know why this doesn't come up more often than it does.
Right. Because
everybody else pays road use tax. We pay a tax when we buy our gasoline to use the road. Electric cars do not have to pay that tax.
I think it's going to have to be like redone in some
and maybe
way.
Maybe this is the reason. I'm not going to say this is the result of that, but this is like the catalyst of how many Teslas are there? How many volts are there? Or bolts. Volt probably counts, but bolts are there. Well, you guys have to pay tax on that now.
Even a volt, yeah, it takes gas, but how often do you fill up compared to me?
Yeah.
You're using way less fuel, you're contributing way less money, but you're still using the road just as much.
Yep. And, people's argument was, well, how much damage does a Model S really do? And it's like...
The same amount as my Chevy S10.
Or more. Probably weighs more than your S10.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to pay their fair share of that, in my opinion. I know we want to incentivize people to use fuel-efficient vehicles, but why does that mean? I mean, they already get a federal tax incentive anyway.
Yeah.
You get a credit. What's the tax credit for buying a Tesla? It's like $6,000 or something.
Huge.
At least.
So, you should have to pay to use the road. Whether you pay it, when you go to register the vehicle or however you pay it, should come from somewhere.
We've talked about this like real early on when we started doing this, but I would not want to pay it in registration.
Oh, I do recall that conversation.
Because
it would be huge.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. Like, if you do the math on how many gallons of gas you go through in a year, and then put that on my registration, I would much rather pay it over time than all at once.
Yeah, that'd be a brutal kick to your checking account.
That's going to hurt. Because who thinks about that? Like, I need to set aside $2,500 for my car registration.
So if I use 15 gallons a week, which I probably do on my 6-liter, I'd probably pay about $400 a year in road use tax, both federal and...
And in all reality, that's not enough.
It's probably not enough, no.
And $400 really isn't that much.
$400 ain't shit when we're talking $836 billion worth of infrastructure needs.
My other question was, are you guys open to a further tax increase? I think I'd be willing to pay another 20 cents. I'd be willing to pay another 10 cents to Iowa or whatever, and then another 10 cents to the federal government. I wouldn't bat an eye at that.
Without getting too political, I think if it was so transparent that you're just like, this much dollars out of everything, your income, your gas tax, wherever, your taxes go to this, and then you have a list of all the stuff that it goes to, and it's transparent and everybody knows where it goes, supposedly. I think that would actually make it better. So you're like, I'm spending $700 a year and it's going all directly to the roads, and I'm paying just like everybody else, and because of it, we have better roads.
That's fine.
Yep,
I'll live with it.
You say you want to know where that other 40% goes,
basically, but it just.
But like and how efficiently is that money spent too? Because that interchange in Iowa City on 80, they redid that. They were literally redoing that the entire time I was going to school there. How many times does it take?
There's a stretch in Sioux City of Interstate 29 that I'm pretty sure has been under construction for a decade.
Yes.
They start on one end, and they add a lane in one direction all the way to the other end, and then they add it all the way back. And by the time they get done with coming back, that road is so congested they got to turn around and start it back over again.
Yeah, I do think that road has been under construction as long as I can remember.
Like a decade, legitimately. There are memes out there about
road
it's a picture of Marty McFly and the Doc coming back from the future, and we just came back from 2050, and Interstate 29 is still under construction.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too much into.
I'm afraid if we keep talking, it's going to get very political.
And that's not what we're here for.
About.
So, did you guys read that article about what they're doing in Omaha?
No. What are they doing in Omaha?
So they are, without even really telling everybody that this was what they planned on doing, they brought road grinding crews through and basically ground up the road.
Turned into gravel?
Turned it into gravel, dumped it right back on, rolled away.
Oh, so it's an
those people-
unpaved road now.
I did see that.
And so people thought,
They're going to come back.
they're just going to come back, right? Like, this was just the start. They'll be back next week. Oh, they'll be back the next week. Oh, they'll be back here next month. 2 years later, it's still gravel road in the middle of Omaha.
Yeah, because there's a guy that had like a $3 million house.
The guy who owns Omaha Steak Company.
Yeah, and he's like,
which is like home delivery meat service.
What the fuck? What are you doing here?
He paid $5,000 and got that repaved.
$5,000?
$5,000.
That's it?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Good Lord.
I said, if that's what it costs, if you have a $3 million home,
Oh, you pay $5,000 all day.
Yeah, who
just
cares?
to get rid of the problem.
Yeah.
I know. He said, he's like, it's annoying, yes, but I paid it.
how much does that kill your property value?
Oh,
I went
more
from
than
being
$5,000.
Because as a car enthusiast, when I was shopping for a house, we did try to buy an acreage or something out of town.
Yeah.
Something that was on a gravel road was not even a consideration.
2 miles of gravel road.
Not a thing.
Nothing you own is
won't do
ever
it.
going to be clean.
Yep.
So
That's crazy.
that really takes into your property value. And that was what the city decided was the right answer to fixing these shit roads.
It's time to vote in some new city people.
That's what they were talking about.
Jodas. That's terrible. This makes me appreciate toll roads because those are always nice. They're worth it.
Like I-88 or whatever in Illinois.
Yep. Or anything in Florida.
All of 35 all the way through most of Kansas.
It's nicer. They maintain it. You pay for it.
It's really not even that bad.
I was going to say, it's pretty expensive to drive down 88, though. Like, if you had to do it regularly, which hopefully you never would.
Well, you would just pay your pass ticket thing.
Yeah, but it's still pretty expensive. I think when we drove in there and drove back, it was like $12 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
but
wouldn't want to do that very often.
I think if you get a daily pass, that's a good like
a yearly pass.
Yeah, and it's a good bit cheaper.
No, we
on
had
the whole.
we had the iPass.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. It was really expensive if you didn't have it.
Oh, yeah.
It was like $4 a toll or something. You're just like, oh.
At the same time, though, if it gives you safe, well-maintained roads, I've never really been bothered by it because when we would drive to Detroit every year, we'd pay the tolls to get through Chicago and stuff. They're always better roads. They're always nice, always maintained.
There's that one toll road at Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah.
It's $1. You're like,
Where you go over the bridge?
but it's $1. You're like,
Eh.
this is $1. Okay, whatever.
Yep.
Somewhere like south of Sioux City, there is a toll bridge that is privately owned
Weird.
across the Missouri.
Is this something that happened like 100 years ago and there
Yeah.
was some weird millionaire dude and he's
Yeah,
just
and
like,
it's-
fuck it, I'll build the bridge?
Yeah, and it's still there. It's like I think it's one of the few privately operated bridges in the country or something silly.
That's a bizarre one.
Right? It's
You'd
a
want,
toll
you'd
bridge.
want it to be nice, you know what
I
I mean?
think
If
it's super sketch too.
Is it really?
I think
That's
so.
not ideal.
No.
That does not
He's just
prove that argument of privatization of,
no.
No,
That
no. I
was
think
one
that
thing.
this is probably something we shouldn't
That
privatize.
no.
Is road care. That seems like it would end poorly.
except for the one road in Texas that's got like the 85 mile an hour speed limit.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you pay for that road though if you're going to use it.
Seems to be worth it.
It probably would be worth it. We've talked about this before, having like, a fast lane that you can go 100 miles an hour on. But you gotta
I'd pay for that,
You got to
too.
pay for it. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd pay for that. I'm going to be completely honest.
Oh, if I could drive to Iowa City and
An hour.
hell yes, I'd pay for that.
No, I wouldn't pay for it. I'll just drive because a lot of times when I'm driving places, I purposely take 2-lane roads anyway.
Yep.
So I'm not in any rush most of the time.
So I can't travel without him. drives me insane.
You got things to do.
I have places to be.
When we drove to Grand Island, I talked the guy I went with into taking Highway 30 the whole way there, which is 2-lane. And like legitimately an hour to an hour and a half longer than taking 80 across.
I love cars, but I don't like.
I'm not doing.
I don't like
2 hours
traveling
like
in
that.
cars. You know what I mean? If going to the airport wasn't such a pain in the ass, I would fly more.
We drove through like the shittiest parts of the area that you could possibly imagine, and I enjoyed every second of it. That's what I love.
Can't stand it. You're driving through Podunk, middle of nowhere,
And
and
I
the
love
buildings
it.
are like 100 years old.
I
and
love it.
People are living in shanties, and the speed limit's 20. You're just like, fuck, get me out of this tiny little town.
And I love every second of it.
Wow. That's why he lives in Boone.
That's true.
What's next, Robbie?
So M2K Motorsports beats the standing mile record with a 2006 Ford
With an
GT.
old Ford GT
Go them.
with some turbos on it.
That's awesome.
There's a little more than just some turbos.
So they took
Jesus.
the basic idea of the 5.4 liter V8 that it came with. I'm sure it's a billet block, and it
resembles nothing of the original.
It probably has the same dimensions generally
Vaguely.
of what the original one had, but it's like a 2,500 horsepower monster. It went 0 to 296. I better get
293.6.
293.6 miles per hour.
Did you
in
see
a
it?
mile.
Did you see it launch?
Yeah,
It was pretty funny. It was like
gone.
hit that gearing and he was gone.
Well, you got to get that thing moving. You're not going to put 2,500 horse down on an unprepared.
No, but the
Runway either.
gearing on it was so bad, or not bad,
It's
but
all
it was so
high end.
long,
Yeah, top end.
that it was just to get it going. It was literally like, and then he finally hit 20, and it was like, bam, it was gone.
This is not the first time they've broke the record, though. I think they've held it a number of times.
They got it like a year or two ago at like 283 or something.
Was that in
But
this car?
I don't know if it was this car though.
It was a Ford GT. That's all I can say. But this is the right color combo. I'm
Yeah.
all about this
Yep.
It
color.
was the Gulf.
Gulf Ivory.
I love it.
I think that's it on that.
I really
one,
don't have anything else to say. I
There's
just
not a
think
lot to
it's
say. I
It was
just
a
think
cool
it's
video.
so cool.
It's awesome.
It was, and apparently they did it live too on Facebook. They're like,
Yeah, I
did they?
watched it. I follow the Texas Mile on my Facebook. Watched it happen. It's so cool.
It's just like the 6-second GTR, same deal.
Yeah, just
They did that. That was live on like a whole bunch of different pages.
1320 video for the most.
oh, was it?
Oh yeah,
I think Garrett had it too, and
I'm sure anyone that was involved in
Yeah.
it.
AMS.
AMS. Yep, I think AMS had it. Interesting times we live in, Robbie. Interesting
It
times.
is.
6-second GTRs.
Of course, I
Crazy
just watched the 2000 in 2010. There was something on Hot Rod about a 62 Nova running a 6.8 or something. And you're just kind of like, yeah,
That was probably Larson. Larry Larson.
it was Larry Larson. It puts it in perspective, and that's a street car.
Yep.
Yeah, he drives that car.
He does drive the car, and then you kind of go, it's fast, but like, we've been doing this with big blocks for a while. So cool story, bro. That'll make
but
the GTR
I think that
fanboys
makes it
mad.
more impressive. 3.8 liters of displacement compared to 570 cubic inches.
Meh.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand no replacement for displacement, blah blah blah, but that's bucking it.
I'm not. I don't
impressive.
disagree that it's not a fast time, but just saying, if LS swapped it, it would have been faster.
It's true.
Thanks, Robbie.
We're gonna get so much hate mail.
So
on that
Uber
one.
puts a stop to the autonomous vehicle testing program for now.
Did you,
is-
did, you,
Uber's kinda in
To the
hot
surprise of nobody.
did you see that they did reinstate it?
Did they?
Yeah, but basically what happened was in Arizona,
Phoenix.
wasn't it? Phoenix. Basically, one of their cars got T-boned
Yes. And
because somebody didn't yield. It didn't sound like they had to stop necessarily, but they were supposed to yield.
yep. So they got plowed into and knocked it on its side. And
It's very odd that the Lexus just like tipped over, or the Volvo just tipped over on its side.
it's kind of
Just
strange.
kind of.
They're known for being tanks, so
It looked in great shape. It was just
Yeah,
on
it was
its
just
side.
on its side. It was
push
like,
it back over,
What
keep
happened
going.
to the
It's
Volvo?
whatever.
Yeah.
But I think to me it kind of proves how there was a passenger and a driver in the vehicle, and they're fine. But it just kind of proves that this technology should not necessarily be in the public yet,
Well,
in my
if-
opinion.
So the Volvo wasn't the one that failed to yield, right?
The Volvo did what it was supposed to do.
At this point, yeah.
So there's no way that you could say that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't an autonomous vehicle.
No.
Chances are, if that person was controlling the car and he would have gone through that stop or that intersection at the same time, the same result would have happened.
I would argue that if he was paying attention to the road, he might have been able to tell that guy wasn't going to stop.
If that other car was autonomous, it probably wouldn't have happened.
It would not have happened because
Not that I'm pro autonomy,
No.
but I'm just
If
playing
if the car that caused the crash had been autonomous, it would have yielded.
like it's supposed to.
In theory.
That's the autonomy.
The major
argument.
error in that case was the driven car, the car driven by a
Human
person.
error.
Yes.
That's the autonomy argument.
But see that is the issue though, because you know what they're going to say.
All cars need to be autonomous.
Yeah, it's gonna go.
There's the problem.
Yeah.
But I do not disagree with you, Robbie, that if somebody had been driving the Volvo, they may have looked to the right and said that car is moving too quickly. It's not going to stop like it's supposed to. I should take evasive.
They could look and see that the driver's on their phone, looking at their phone.
Yeah,
Like you could tell that they're not paying attention to what they're about to plow through.
This
is kind of coming on the wake of a handful of other things that Uber's been dealing with. Like,
Yeah, they're not doing so hot.
they have a bunch of other internal scandals, which
sexist and
We're
racist problems.
probably not going to get into that, but like they've had other crashes, and they had an actual at fault autonomous vehicle that went through a red light and just didn't stop, straight through a red light.
Oh, really? I'd never seen anything about that.
I kind of do confuse these two stories because they just plowed through it.
Surprised
Nothing
that's
stopped.
not the one that.
I don't think anyone got hurt. No one died.
It doesn't matter. It's still.
I agree.
Did anyone get
failed.
hurt there in the other one?
No, but this one got posted on the internet right away.
There was damage, collateral damage.
Yep. The technology is not there yet, and we're pushing it in an unsafe way.
I was thinking the other day, like, what's the harm in taking your major interstates and making those autonomous? What's wrong with that?
That's a lot better than intercity.
Because you got Adam. Adam wants to take the back roads. Adam can take the back roads all day. He can drive them, and we can get on Interstate 80. And again, we could drive to Iowa City at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, if it was autonomous, there'd be no reason you couldn't do that. And
you'd set up your gearing in your car correctly so that you could do that efficiently. And I just don't. I mean, do we need to be autonomous in the city or congested? Do we need that? You know what I mean? Is that really necessary? Is it such an inconvenience for you to drive your car?
I think most people would argue yes.
I guess I have a hard time seeing that. I don't understand hopping in a car and then taking it halfway across town and not having to not drive it. Like I understand, like driving it across country when you're sitting in it for 12 hours. Yeah, I get that.
Definitely.
Take the power away and you
Definitely. And take a nap. It's gonna be safer.
Yep.
It's gonna be better for the driver.
I think in that scenario, I would probably take 4 lanes more often than I currently do.
Just because you could.
Because if I'm going to drive something, if I have to be attentive and driving, I don't want it to be on a straight, set my cruise, boring road. I want things to be changing. I want to drive through towns. I want to see things. I want to, as much as you can experience stuff. But if I can drift off and take a nap or
Play solitaire.
Yeah, do whatever. I could see myself doing that more often.
I just think that the barrier to entry to that's pretty low. And if you've got people that have older vehicles that aren't autonomous, I feel like it's a pretty safe, controlled environment.
Yes.
If you keep the speed limits the same, keep them 70 or whatever, you can have autonomous and non-autonomous vehicles coexisting in the same space, and it's probably going to be relatively safe because everybody's moving at the same pace and things are happening in slow motion. You know what I mean? You're not crossing traffic and whatnot.
I think a lot of newer cars damn near are at that point already with, lane detection and radar cruise control.
They got lane assist, and some cars will actually move your steering wheel.
Yeah, that
keep
work
you in your lane.
Work under good conditions.
Keep you spaced or a certain distance between you and the next car.
Until it's raining or foggy.
But I just feel like, can we compromise and just do that? I feel like it's safer. Barrier to entry is low. A lot of people would benefit from it, and we don't have to deal with the technology trying to make it work in the city.
Yeah,
I don't know that people being zombies in their cars is like the safest thing. I mean, something about that doesn't seem.
I think a lot of people just want to be zombies all the time, which is a lot of the problem.
Yeah,
that's a social issue in general.
Adam is correct. People just want to space off.
I heard this morning that they are putting crossing signals and stuff like that in the sidewalk in some European cities.
Because people are looking at their phone.
So people don't have to look up from their phones to see whether or not they can safely cross the road.
Just let them get hit by the car.
Yep.
Which was their argument.
Yeah, let's let,
This was Bob and Tom. So
Dar-
they're
oh
all,
yeah. They're all old. They're like 60.
So they're like, just let him die. Whatever. Who cares? Frankly, I'm with them on this because I'm basically a 60-year-old person as well.
We brought this up, or I brought it up before, but the whole thing in New York of like, if everything's autonomous, all the pedestrians just aren't going to give a shit. They're just going to walk out in front of cars.
it's only.
But you're not going to have that problem.
We're already doing that, and it's not autonomous.
It's true. People are just getting hit by cars. But
It's almost nerve-wracking to the point where I try to avoid driving through Campus Town in Ames.
we've talked about it when it was specifically bad with Pokemon Go.
Yes.
When I drove through Ames that one time when it was kind of new.
Yep.
And literally people were just walking out in front of my car.
Kids they'll cross in the crosswalks, but they don't cross when they're supposed to be.
Or look.
So like if you're turning right onto a road, they'll just cross. So you have to wait until you have a green light and they've all crossed before you can feel comfortable about safely going.
So anyway, my argument is just on highways, designated interstates, stuff like that. You can go into autonomous mode.
Yeah, I think
pretty safe.
taking this off one bite at a time would make more sense than this whole. Everyone's trying to jump to full autonomy.
Everything all at the same time.
Like all these companies like Uber, Tesla, and Google and stuff like that, they're like, we need to have a fully autonomous vehicle testing in the streets. It's like, we're not there yet.
Well, I just find it interesting when you talk to normal people that aren't into cars, and the majority of them, and Bloomberg did a poll on this, and they don't want autonomous cars. That's the thing that blows my mind is they're creating a product that people have said they don't want.
Yeah,
the majority of people.
I'm curious where, like, if say this sells or they get it to a point where it's relatively safe, and they buy off on it, and the highway safety, I don't know what they're actually called, safety crew or whatever,
NHTSAW something,
yeah, whatever,
making shit up. It's got an N, an H, and a T in it.
Yeah, they sign off on it. It's safe to drive on the highways and the roads, and they let it go. How many of them are really going to sell, realistically?
It's one of those things.
How are you gonna market this in a way that it's even like that you could afford it? Like, is this going to be a $200,000 car and like the 1%ers get it?
I don't know. The other thing with, not to keep banging on about this, but if only the highways are autonomous, all these people that rely on vehicles, with the exception of truck drivers, would still have jobs at least, like taxi cab drivers or Uber drivers or short delivery guys, all of those people would still have jobs.
Yes.
The truck thing is a different, I don't know the answer to that.
You'd still need a truck driver. I mean, eventually they have to get off the interstate.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Our shipping and receiving distribution points are not on the interstate.
You're right. Nope. So you'd still need a truck driver.
It would really not change anything. It would just make them more efficient because they wouldn't have to stop on their long distance hauls.
And I bet it'd be safer because there's always issues about those guys not getting enough sleep, and stopping when they're supposed to.
And
all that would be automated.
I think there's a lot of people that cause accidents with them as much as they cause accidents because people are very stupid around those vehicles.
That problem will diminish over time as more and more people have the highway autonomy technology. We've solved another problem, and nobody gives us any credit. I've not gotten any phone calls from NASCAR or
it's because we don't have
federal government.
We don't have enough reach yet.
Okay,
but we're getting there.
We'll keep. They can go back. They can go back and listen, and then they'll be like, 2 years ago, these guys solved this, and we didn't even know about it.
I tag these people on Facebook. Eventually, somebody's going to
listen. Yeah, I know. Is that it on that one?
Yeah,
probably banged on about that one. Long
Let's wrap this up. And I kind of want to talk about this just because I rode in a hydrogen car this week. Toyota introduces an air purifying billboard to advertise their hydrogen cars in Los Angeles. So basically, this billboard acts like a catalytic converter does, where when it interacts with light, it basically purifies the air. So they're using that to promote their clean energy that is hydrogen.
It's a cool idea.
It's an awesome billboard idea.
If it works well.
They should do that on everything.
Should be doing that all the time, for sure.
I think they said it would offset, they had 37 of them, and it offset 5,285 vehicles.
That's
for the year.
That's awesome.
That's a lot. That's impressive.
That's
a hell of a lot of purifying.
I mean, it's a lot of square footage.
The problem is that there's going to be the argument of who's going to pay for this. So there goes
advertisers.
There goes our gas tax money.
Yeah, but see, if you have hydrogen powered vehicles, you still have to pay
gas
tax
tax.
on hydrogen.
Uh-huh.
So then you get, see what I'm saying? Hydrogen is the future.
I'm all about it.
After riding in the hydrogen vehicle, after I got after I got past being scared of
Blowing up
Of dying?
the 10,000 psi tank sitting below me,
between your legs, essentially.
yeah, I would say hydrogen is much more likely than electric long term.
Why did
the
you
battery.
why did you have a
Because University of California, Irvine is one of the leading universities with fuel cell technology.
Yep.
So like they're one of the few places that have like a combustor and fuel spray program.
Okay.
So they're huge into hydrogen. So they have one of the Toyota hydrogen cars,
the
So we-
Mirai, whatever it's called?
Mirai or whatever.
Yep.
We took that. We actually rode in that to dinner because I was riding with one of the professors, and it's basically they use this hydrogen fuel to interact with, I don't know, some like a catalyst or an alkali or whatever.
Yep.
To charge the battery, which runs an electric motor.
Yeah.
So it's a different technology because again, a total misunderstanding I think with a lot of people is that they think they burn hydrogen and they don't. They don't.
Nope. They have an electric motor.
So it's an electric motor. But we rode in it and again scared that it's going to explode because it's 700 bar or 10,000 psi, and we went.
It's a lot of boost.
All the boost.
I'm not super concerned about just exploding, but if there's an accident and that gets pierced, that's a lot of pressure going.
Well, see, but Toyota did like 15 years of testing.
I know
on that
they
tank.
did, and it's just one of those things. It's
yeah.
hard for me to get over it. Like I understand, and I'm sure it's overbuilt, and I'm sure it's super safe, and I'm sure it's been crash tested
sure it's like-
1,000 times.
Did you guys see that video where they strapped that dude to an office chair with nitrous
I
bottles?
saw like the GIF of it.
Like that's gonna happen on a car.
That's kind of my fear. But it almost came to fruition when we were driving though, because we went over a speed bump at the hotel. You know, we went front wheels went over, rear wheels went over, then all of a sudden, the fuel cell slammed against the speed bump. I thought we were dead. Obviously, nothing happened. It was fine, but like you just heard the metal on cement, and I thought for sure we had punctured it. Like it slammed.
That's bizarre. Why is the fuel cell in a place that could happen?
Maybe it was just the bottom of the car, but like why are we hitting the speed bump on the bottom of the car on a normal
very
production
weird.
car?
Stance Bros should probably stay away from hydrogen fuel cells. Is what Robbie's getting at.
They run into too many things, scrape on too many
There's
things.
too many low hanging.
There's too many mild approaches to parking lots.
But yeah, and they're cheaper than a Tesla. I mean, they're 57,000.
It's probably
It's
you
not
probably
cheap.
don't get a freaking
And if you
incentive from the government.
you
for
do,
You do. Okay.
yeah,
There's
it's about
a-
the same as an electric car.
There's an economy of scale there, though.
Yeah, and then
$57,000 because there's 50 of them.
yeah, and then California just got like a $52 million or $152 million grant to build a bunch of hydrogen.
Yeah.
Like an infrastructure for hydrogen, and then there were hydrogen pumps in Irvine. So like if you I can't remember how many. I think it was like there's 50 in California.
yeah.
So I mean, if you wanted to, you could have a hydrogen car in that area.
No problem.
You just go to a Shell station and fill up.
I think it's a better solution. I really do.
yeah.
And
We could get our road tax and all that stuff done, like you were
Yep.
saying.
I'm still scared of hydrogen in general, just the pressurized tank. But I think hydrogen is definitely the way to go.
I think that long term, it's much less destructive
Yes.
to our resources. Because, to make a battery is a lot of mining,
Yes.
which is probably always going to have to be done by internal combustion diesel engines. Let's be real here.
Let's not kid ourselves.
So, and I'm all about it.
Yep. I've kind of definitely changed my tone on it in the last year.
I think it's good because if you want to do stupid LS things,
You still can.
you can. You can have. I think there's going to be enough gasoline out there that if we want to use it for recreational purposes, we can. When we get to the point where most things are, in our minds, we hope are hydrogen.
Yes.
You can still use gasoline for racing or off-roading or whatever, even if it's not allowed for normal road use.
Yeah, I think so.
I think there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see why that couldn't work.
I have a hard time believing that it'll truly go away.
Entirely, yeah.
Yeah,
There's just too much, and there's too much heritage and
Well,
vintage cars.
I think
and
it's just
there's
going to be
too
like horses are now. I think that's the most realistic outlook on it. You know,
Maybe a little.
150 years ago, horses were our only mode of transportation. Now they are a form of recreation. That's exactly what cars are going to be in, I mean,
Yeah,
30 years' time.
That's probably a fair way to look. I wouldn't say 30, but yeah, it's a fair way to look at it.
And somebody will keep making, you know, if it's not GM Performance, somebody will keep making LS motors because, you know,
They'll just make
there's so many things to swap still, you know, even 30 years from now.
Teslas
Not quite everything will be swapped.
Yeah, like an LS swapped Myra or whatever they're called.
Or even now with, like, you know, that new bill that Obama signed not that long ago, 6 months ago or whatever it was, you can make, small manufacturers can make cars and stuff like that. So,
You know how funny it would be to swap a Tesla?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be
That would
great.
piss off
I'm
so
surprised.
many.
I'm surprised Bob Lutz hasn't done it since he's doing Fiskars.
I swear I've seen
Somebody
pictures.
probably makes an LS swap kit for a Tesla just because. Like, if I was like mad rich and had nothing else to do, I would straight pipe a Tesla, definitely with a LS7.
Go find one that had a battery pack.
No, I'd buy a new one. I'd buy a new one.
Throw it away.
I'd buy a new one and like roadkill it in the parking lot. Just take the engine out and leave it. You know what I mean? Take the motor out, all the batteries, leave them in the parking lot,
Find one of those guys that's electric converting their Corvettes.
and give him all the parts.
$300,000
Like, bro,
electric conversion.
You know what I'm saying? It's a swap, dude. I don't want this crap. Just take it. That LS7, can I have that?
Win-win.
Boom. You get a sweet, like, really good looking CTSV thing.
Yeah.
I like it.
The only problem is nothing inside of it would work.
You can fix that.
I'd put odometer gauges in it. That's what I would do.
Put a Motec in it, it'll be fine.
I'd put odometer gauges with an iPad in the center console. You know what I mean?
But just use like 18 gauge aluminum.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do it well.
You could probably hack that the dashboard they have.
Probably.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it's basically a tablet.
I'm sure somebody's done it.
Yeah, but that's not nearly as cool, Robbie. You take that shit out and put odometer gauges in
Well, you
it.
can still do the
It does.
gauges.
It does run the HVAC though. So you need a nerd.
want it.
You need a nerd to figure out how to hack that. But I'm sure as hell not.
Well, now we're not going to get anybody.
I'm sure as
because
hell
you just
not.
insulted
I'm sure as
them.
hell not. Using the stock gauges.
Nah.
I want like a 3-inch or one of those giant, the 6-inch
Monster tack?
Yeah, with the light on it.
With the light
to
on
tell me
it.
when to shift. And a 6-speed.
You gonna get that in your RX-7?
No, I don't think so. Well, maybe, I don't know.
Well, if
see.
you're listening to this, you should tell Michael that he needs
Why don't you have
tack.
one?
I don't want one.
See?
You just said you
See?
wanted one.
No, I know. I want one in my
wants it in his
Tesla because
Tesla?
it'd be annoying.
I want it in your RX-7.
I want to annoy environmentalists as I go by at 7,000 RPM and the lights.
blinking at you.
Yeah,
I like
shift. You know what I'm saying? The really annoying thing would be though if you pulled up to like a
man.
P100D and you're just like, "Fuck, I'm just
Still
gonna get roasted right now." There's not anything I can do about this.
Yep. Is there a wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up. Don't forget, guys, to go to TitanFuelTanks.com. They got some really cool products, especially for transfer tanks. They have this really cool like sidekick tank. We've talked about some other bed tanks, but this one basically goes over the wheel well. So it kind of takes up a minimum amount of your
Bed.
space in the bed.
Frankly, wasted space anyway.
Yeah, exactly, because you can't really do much with it because the wheel well is in the way. So
Yep.
it goes over top of the wheel well and kind of takes up some space on one side of it. I think it's like a 15-gallon tank. It's pretty cool. Really popular with guys that race cars, frankly, because it's a really easy transfer tank for those guys to use to put fuel in whatever, dirt track cars, off-road vehicles, you name it, track day
E85
cars,
Subarus.
E85 Subarus. They need fuel too.
Lots
it's hard
of
to find
They
E85.
are thirsty.
It is hard to find E85 for those guys a lot of the time. Or race fuel. Sometimes it's hard to find race fuel. Like we talked about at the beginning, a lot of tracks aren't carrying it anymore. So, really popular option for guys that race. You guys should check that out. It's on TitanFuelTanks.com. I think that's it for this episode.
Yep.
I think we will catch up with you guys next week, as usual.
Yay.
Go to YouTube, subscribe. Bye.